Welcome to the Women of Color in Business Global Podcast, where Black women entrepreneurs come to get inspired and get free. I am your host, Lynette Cottrell, and here we are passionate about letting you know you are not alone. You are supported in this unique business journey you were brave enough to step into. We bring to you global, inspiring stories to ignite your business, valuable resources and trainings, and impactful solutions for your total well-being. Remember, there is only one you, and the world needs what you have been chosen to offer. What we know for sure is a world that supports the joy, health, and wealth of Black women is the only kind of world to live in. So join us as we jump into another great episode of the Women of Color in Business podcast. So today we're here with another beautiful Black woman in business, and we're going to begin by allowing her to introduce herself and her business.
Well, thank you, Lynette. I appreciate you having me on. My name is Tiffany Sears. I am the CEO and broker in charge of the Sears Group, LLC. We are a real estate firm in the Charlotte area. We are licensed in both North Carolina and South Carolina, and we do everything from helping you buy, sell, rent, invest, anything that's going to allow you to use real estate to achieve whatever those goals are that you have.
Okay, wonderful. So how long have you been in business with your real estate company?
I have been in real estate for 6 years. We have been an independent firm for almost 2 years now, which seems like it's flown by, but we are not a franchise. We are not affiliated with one of the big boys. We are completely independent, a small boutique firm.
Oh, wonderful. So that brings up two questions in my mind. One, what was your journey to having a real estate company? Like, what were you doing before? And what caused you to create this business? And the second question is, what informed you becoming a boutique firm on your own?
It's kind of interesting. My background's in education.
Uh-huh.
So I was a classroom teacher for years and then spent about 7, 8 years working for an education nonprofit. I went to a real estate interest meeting with a family member, and they were the one that was interested in getting involved in real estate. And I was like, I'll go with you. I'll be a good wing woman and just and ride along. And
Right.
we're sitting in there listening to the speaker, and he said, this is something that a lot of people do just on the side. And as we left and we were talking, I was like, you know what? I may take the class. Might as well. What could it
Uh-huh.
hurt? And ended up taking the class, getting my real estate license, and I was still working full time.
Okay.
So I was a dual career because I wasn't really taking it seriously. I was just like, this is something I can do if I want to. I started getting some clients here and there. And then one day I got an email at 4 a.m. from my boss
Uh-huh.
that was like, hey, we need you on a call at 10:45. And they laid me off along with 8 other people.
Ah.
And I walked away from that meeting realizing that I never wanted anyone else to have any control over how I feed my family.
Hmm.
And I decided, along with my husband, that I was going to dive headfirst into real estate, and that's what we did. So that's sort of how we got into it,
Okay.
completely by accident.
Right.
And let me turn this off. And so um, when we separated out, I started with a large firm, had great experiences there. Um, and one day I had my husband got his real estate license, and they automatically made us a team.
Okay.
Well, I'm like, no, I'm an independent agent. I don't, there's no one else but me.
Right.
I don't want the responsibility. And at that point, another agent that I had been chatting with and giving some advice to and sort of helping through the process came to me and said, "Can I join your team?" Well, I don't have a team. It's just me. I don't have a team. And she's like, "Yes, you do. You have a team, and I would like to join your team." So she came on board. Next thing you know, we've got three or four other agents that have come on board, and just having conversations with the leadership team with the firm and how things were going. I really wanted to make sure that the agents walked away with the majority of their money.
Mm,
And the way the current system was set up, that wasn't going to be the way things happened.
gotcha.
So, we had to have all of the legal parameters in place, the LLC, the firm license, all of those things needed to be in place.
Hmm.
So, just had a long talk with myself, my husband, with God, and said, you know what? Let's just start our own firm.
Mm.
Let's just start our own firm. So this way we can make sure that the agents that work with us have the same values that we have and that they walk away with the majority of their money. So that's how we ended up branching off and becoming independent.
Okay, wonderful. What a journey, huh?
And
I
it's a challenge, but we do.
I love that you were saying I don't have a team, and she was saying yes, you do. Yes, you do. You're not recognizing it, but you have a team.
Exactly,
And look
exactly.
how everything turned out. Wonderful, wonderful. So what would you say you love most about real estate?
Oh gosh. Um, I love that I get to work with a wide assortment of people. And since my background's in education, a part of that is I get to sort of really help inform them of what the process is and how they can take a transaction where most people think it's just about where they lay their head every night and turn that into how they actually fund the lifestyle that they want to have, because
Mm,
it's more than just you buying the place where you live every day. Real estate is probably the largest savings account that you'll own.
mm,
So when we change the way we look at real estate and we think about, okay, what are some of the big things that we want to do, whether it's starting a business or owning rental property or traveling or going back to school, real estate can help fund that.
mm.
So, what is the ultimate goal that you want to have with this? Yes, it can be a place that you go every day and sleep and put, decorate and make it,
Right.
just a family oriented, home. But it's also the place that can actually help you achieve the things that you want to achieve long term.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's a very unique spin on real estate, right? Because and I know firsthand that educators are really they're great whenever they get into something because they're used to explaining, they're used to learning all they can about it,
Hmm.
and they're also concerned about others having this information, right? They don't
Right.
just want it. They don't just, like even in real estate, you're not just in it to make the sale and walk away. You're you're adding,
Now, some agents are.
exactly. Most are. Like I haven't met a real estate agent who would sit down and tell me how to build wealth or how this can fund my dream to travel, right? And I'm sure
Oh,
most people
absolutely.
haven't. I'm sure
It,
most
it's
people
it's a
haven't.
whole
So
different way of looking at it.
yeah.
And I've had, encounters with people that they're like, well, I don't have the money for a down payment or anything like that. And then they start telling me about their 401k. And I'm like, okay, so you realize that your 401k is a savings account.
Mhm.
And if you have the ability to take money out of that savings account to pay for other things, if you're essentially just moving it from one savings account to another savings account.
Mhm.
So it's all in how you look at it, because
Right.
if you buy smart, then you can, accumulate a good chunk of equity, and there's all sorts of things you can do with that.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm just, I'm just seeing a master class in my mind. I'm seeing you doing a master class, just like you said you didn't have a team. You're doing a master class.
It's just making sure people understand, and particularly folks that owning property was never really a part of their upbringing.
Right.
And there's a lot of folks out there that just want to be renters, and they feel like it's the easiest way to go. They don't have to worry about maintenance, but you're already paying a mortgage. You're just not paying yours.
There you go. That part.
So let's
Right.
figure out how we can, and trust me, the person, the landlord, that property management company, they are doing all kinds of things with the funds that you are contributing,
Right.
but you're not allowed to do that. You're not getting the tax write-offs. You're not getting the benefits. So how can we help everyone understand? And yeah, it may not be the right time, but if it's something that you have as a goal, then let's figure out how we can put you in place to do that.
Got you. Great information. Great information. So, in starting your business, when you look back at where you began, with connected with the bigger firm, what would you say something you wish you knew sooner that you would have done differently in that process?
Oh gosh. I think it helped that I really wasn't trying to scale my business as fast as a lot of folks I think would try. Um, I wish I knew how difficult it was to attract and recruit um, folks that actually had a entrepreneur mindset.
Got
I don't think I really understood that a lot of people, when they say that they're going into business, understand what that means.
you.
And, so we spent a good chunk of time explaining to agents, and we just had a class yesterday on understanding budgeting as a realtor
Mm.
and what that looks like as someone that may not have an LLC and just be a sole proprietor, um, versus someone that does have an LLC and they're operating with their EIN. How those things look different when it comes to banking, um, items that you need to do for accountability with the government, whether it's state or federal. There's a lot that goes into it, and I don't think that most agents or most people that have lived that W-2 lifestyle
Right.
understand when they transition to owning a business, all of the different things you are responsible for from a legal perspective
Hmm.
and how you set up just the money so you're not commingling things and how you can track things easier for taxes. Um, Fortunately, I had an agent that actually, I took a class with, and she wasn't supposed to teach that class that day. And I think everything is divine timing.
Yes.
And, we were sitting there after the class was over, and I was like, I really appreciate you doing this. I've learned so much in this last hour.
Hmm.
And she was like, so if everybody wants to stay for a minute, I can tell you a key piece of advice that I got when I was a new agent.
Uh-huh.
No one moved. And because she's was established, a high producer. And
Okay.
she was like, if you have not separated your funds out, if you're not an LLC, you can't open a business banking account yet, but open a separate checking and a separate savings and split any commission you have into thirds. A third of it goes into the savings, and that's for Uncle Sam. A third of it stays with the business, and that's how you operate the business. And a third of it goes into your personal account, and that's your paycheck. And
Mm.
if you do that to start with, and you get used to separating your money out, when it's time for you to shift into an LLC and get a business account, everything's already separated.
Right.
It was the best piece of advice I ever got. So,
Yes, that is great advice. That can actually parlay into a lot of solopreneur events or businesses that we get into because a lot of
mhm,
times we start off, like you said, without the LLC, without the business
right,
set up correctly, without the business bank account. And the money is going into our regular checking accounts,
that's
and
right.
all the expenses are coming out of our regular checking account. And
Hmm.
then when tax time comes,
It's hard.
yeah, it's very difficult to
Yeah,
separate those two. Once you do become a LLC, you've created some bad habits.
right.
So
Exactly. Even with credit cards, if you have one or two credit cards, choose one that has the lowest possible,
interest rate.
interest rate, and also that you've spent money on. So try to get it down to as low as possible and use that for all of your business expenses.
Mm,
And that way you've got one credit card that you're able to identify, okay, this is my business
right.
expenses. So just how you set it up from a financial perspective, I don't think a lot of people understand. Um, And another thing that we really focus on is getting them to think about, okay, I put a lot of time and energy into my W-2. Like when I worked, for someone else, I made sure I was at every training they told me to be at. I was there on time. I did the work. I handled, did everything that I was supposed to do. You know, do we put that same energy into our own businesses?
Great question.
Because if not, it's just an expensive hobby.
Yes, exactly. Great information. Um, So the first thing you taught us today was that even if we don't have the business established as an LLC, however we want to set up the business, and we don't have the business account, we can still begin dividing those funds so that when that time comes, we're already in practice, we're already ready.
Absolutely.
Business expenses, find a credit card that you don't have a lot of usage on
Hmm.
and make that the primary card or the only card for your business expenses. So you can, and another thing that does is not just segregates those expenses for tax purposes, but also you get a true look at what your business expenses are. Because when they're commingled with everything else, you're going to miss,
Yeah,
some
it's
expenses
hard.
you paid. Yeah, it's very difficult. If you don't know what your business is costing you, how do you really know how much you're making from it? How
Right.
can you
And
set
that's
goals for earnings?
and setting this, actually sitting down, creating a business plan and a marketing plan and a budget. If you don't have any idea of what you're spending from quarter or what you can spend from quarter
Right.
to quarter.
Mm-hmm.
We had someone approach us the other day about an event in February, and we've done our 2025 budget. It's a little pricier than what we have
Mm-hmm.
allocated for first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But my thought is, okay, is this an event that I feel like is going to have a good ROI, or not just financial ROI, but community ROI?
Mm-hmm.
Because we want to give a lot back to the community. So is this going to be something that if we contribute to, is going to benefit the community as a whole? And
Right.
it is. So we've made a decision to lower what our, expense would be for second quarter so that we can allocate those funds for first quarter. So if you're going in and you're looking at things like that, it's like, what's the benefit that we're going to get?
Right. Wonderful. Great information. And as you plan your business, so do you sit and do like a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, 2-year plan? And if
We try definitely to have a 2-year plan
okay.
always in place. So we're actually operating in one that was planned the year prior, while we planned what's going to come up so that we can sort of make adjustments. But I do see a business plan as being a very fluid, living, breathing document.
Yeah.
So if something is not working, or if we encounter something or a new project comes up, we can make changes to it. It should not be so strict that you can't do that.
Right.
But if you have absolutely no idea what you're doing, where you're going, what you want to do, what the
Right.
benefit is,
Right.
I mean, so you have to sort of have an idea of what is important to you as the owner of whatever the business is, and
Right.
then create your plan around that. And having a marketing plan, I think, is so critical.
Mm,
People don't do it.
right. Right. That's a very good point. Nowadays, a lot of business are learning about social media marketing. They're utilizing that a lot, but that still has a learning curve
Yes.
because, what really captures attention, what works best, what works least. It's a process of trying things and figuring out what works for your type of business. Doing your research, looking at others
Yes.
who do the same thing. So if you might not start out with a marketing budget, but there's still things you can do to plan to market your business because no one knows you're there.
Unless you tell them.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and, and what works on Facebook doesn't necessarily work on Instagram. What works on Instagram doesn't work on TikTok. And,
So
you
true.
know, I tell folks, it's like, okay, look, you don't have to be on all of them. I'm not on Twitter, X,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Um, it, it stresses me.
Mhm.
It stresses me. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and we've really sort of started our YouTube channel
Okay.
just to get that going. But for most folks, it can be overwhelming,
Yeah.
especially if you're part-time and you're going into, this business that you're trying to build up to where you don't have to have a W-2 job. So pick
Right.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Just pick one and try and really engage in that one as much as possible. Or I've had, agents tell me that they don't want to be on social media. They don't like, and I'm like, social media is the cheapest
Yes.
form of advertising there is.
Mm-hmm.
You can, reach a lot of people in a short amount of time with very little to no funds. So if you're not going to be on social media, you need to be somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
People have to know you're there. So
Right.
if you're not on social media, then you should be at community events. You should be doing maybe some print advertisement, or we see all the times on the grocery store, the carts. There's advertisements on there. You have
Right.
to be somewhere. Those cost money, and they typically take longer to bring in any sort of business. For real estate agents, we farm, which is basically identifying a neighborhood and you're sharing information, flyers, dropping by with different treats or things like that, hosting community events. That is an expensive form of marketing.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time to see any results from that.
Mm.
So, you have to think about, okay, what is your budget? And if you don't have a sphere of influence, which everyone has a sphere of influence, we just have to figure out how to engage with it. What are you going to do to actually get out there so people know who you are?
Mm. I like that. That's those are very good gems you're dropping there, because a lot of times we are so focused on the doing of the business that we don't take the time to focus on the marketing or the getting the word out.
Right.
And something else very important that you said is that it takes time. So what I've seen a lot is that with networking, people would
Mm-hmm.
go to a networking event and collect some cards, and they go from event to event to event and wonder why nothing's picking up,
Yeah.
nothing's
You just got a
happening.
stack of cards.
Yes, exactly. I just got talked to a couple of people. I know a couple of names. I got some cards, but nothing's happening because I find that networking is more about building relationships, and building
Yes.
relationships takes time. It's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be, I meet you today and tomorrow we're doing business, or you're going to refer me to someone. You
Right.
have to
Right.
get to know me. I have to get to know and trust you. That's going to be a months down the road, or it
Yes.
could be a year down the road before it turns into anything, you
Or
know.
identify before you get there what your goal is for that particular event.
Mhm.
So if you're going to a business networking event with, various, business types. So you know what, my goal is going to be to look for someone that can create a logo for me. So I'm looking for a, digital marketer or publishing or something like that. So you're going to go in and that is your focus, is to find someone, one or two people that actually do what that is. I want to find a CPA, or I want to work with a builder. So you're going to go in and sort of identify one or two people that might possibly be in that, and you're going to focus your energy and effort on that. It
Mm,
doesn't overwhelm you that way,
right. Very, very good
because
point.
going in and seeing, 200 people in a room
Right.
is overwhelming for a lot
Yeah.
of folks, especially those of us that just want to be in the house in our sweatpants, with
Right.
a bag of popcorn. Um, so if you can identify what the purpose is and sort of get an idea, okay, this is what my goal is, or you just want to meet two or three people and have genuine, authentic conversations with two or three people.
Yes.
And when you do that, you can head home
Right.
because you've met your goal,
Uh-huh.
and you've actually established some really good conversations with people.
I really love that, what you just said there, because a lot of times we are overwhelmed with the thought of, because being a solopreneur, we have to wear all the hats. So we are the
Oh,
marketing person, we are the promoter, right? We've never done promotions in our lives, and we just want to make what we make and let that be it. But now
yeah.
we have to wear the hat of promoter. So being a
Hmm.
promoter and thinking about, I have to go out to networking events, just being in a room full of people can be overwhelming. Like, who do I talk to and what do I say? And,
Right.
I remember when I was first starting out as an entrepreneur going to networking events, I didn't know what was the first thing to do. Like, do I just speak to the people that look nice and easy to talk to, who smile at me, right?
Mhm.
Who am I? I did not have a plan of what do I want to get from this event? It was kind of
Right.
like, let me just go there and see what happens, right? After a couple of those, you can get kind of burnt out because you're not approaching it the right way, so you're not getting any results, and you're thinking, is everybody else just showing up here, like me? How do people like these things, But it's
Yeah,
like I went in with no plan. I was just in the room, in the place. I need to get out, get around people, network. But what does networking mean? And I like the
right.
way that you describe it and define it for us. It means planning your purpose for being at that networking event. First of all, so it has to make sense. Does it
Right.
have the type of people that will want your business? Right? Does it make sense for you to be there? And why are you there? You want to get two or three names for what purpose? And once you get those and you make those contacts, so not just the names though, but you have to have a real conversation with people.
Absolutely.
Right. Have those conversations. I'm going to talk to three people tonight. I'm going to talk to them about this. I'm going to leave and they're going to remember me. I'm going to remember them. And I'm going to follow up tomorrow
Follow up is
to make
key.
sure they remember me.
And if you meet three people that, two of them don't necessarily fit what your goal was, ask them if they know anyone that does.
Mm,
Because if you just say, oh, well, they aren't gonna,
right,
I'm just gonna go on to the next two people, ask
right,
them because
uh,
people want to feel, useful. They want to be
right.
seen as a resource. So if
Uh-huh,
you've said to someone because, hey, I'm looking for a CPA, and they're
uh-huh,
like, oh, well, I own a clothing boutique,
right.
and then you just stop the conversation,
Mm-hmm,
then what? Then it's not a purposeful event that
right.
you're at now, but say, oh, well, who do you use? Do you like the service that they provide? Would you mind sharing their contact information?
Mm-hmm,
So now you've taken it a little bit deeper.
right.
So it's not just that you said, hi, my name is Sally.
Uh-huh,
And they're like, nice to meet you, Sally. I don't do what you're looking for.
right.
And
And you
everybody
go
walks
into
away.
right, right.
You deep dive into it a little bit just to see.
Yeah, you made it worth your time talking to that
Hmm.
person and you get the information you want sooner. That actually makes it definitely makes it more purposeful, but it makes it more it gives more ease to it too. Because you walk in with the plan and oh, I just got two more people to, get
Right,
information from.
right.
You might end up actually talking to more people because you've relaxed, you've gotten to
Hmm.
know people, you're in your little flow. So it works out better. I like that. A great way to approach the networking challenge, people.
Yes.
So today in your business, as you have progressed through your business journey and you're almost to your year two, completing year two, being on your own, what would you say is your biggest challenge in your business today?
Oh, I would say the biggest challenge is fighting. I don't want to use the word fighting, but it's really fighting. Um, the stereotypes of what realtors do
Okay.
and the challenge of what's been going on with the National Association of Realtors lawsuit and how that has impacted how we work.
Okay.
Um, and I would say that's the biggest challenge because a lot of times people see realtors as just glorified door openers and
Oh.
we should, most of us.
Uh-huh.
I can't speak for everybody. Can't speak for everybody. But there's a lot more value that we provide to our client base. And part of it is just making sure that we help them acclimate to community.
Hmm.
And a lot of who we work with are relocation, folks that are moving here or they're, scaling up and they may be moving to a different part of town. Charlotte's not that big, but since we handle, North and South Carolina,
Right.
we have a wider reach. So, but getting people to sort of like figure out, okay, where can I go for the things that I like or that's going to make my life better? How do I engage in this city where it becomes not just a place I live, but my home?
Mhm.
Um, gosh, I can't believe it's been 20 years, but my husband was transferred and Charlotte's my home. I'm a native, born and raised, which is not
Okay.
not many of us.
Hmm.
But 20 years ago, we moved to Delaware and we were there for 10 years. And I had never lived anywhere else other than Charlotte in my
Uh-huh.
entire life. And we get up there and, I know no one, don't know where
Hmm.
anything is. And we had a corporate relocation move, which is a fantastic experience because they just handle everything, but you know no one. The realtor that we used was very sweet, but once we closed, never saw her again.
Right.
Um, and my husband went on a business trip, and I ended up locking myself out of the house with our 3-year-old. And
Oh.
I sat in the car and cried, just cried
Oh.
because I had no one to call. And
Right.
that was back when cell phones weren't that they were very, we didn't have them.
Right.
So I had to, fortunately we bought a new construction home. So I went to where the model home was called, she helped me find in the yellow pages a locksmith that, to
The
to come
yellow
out and
pages,
help us.
you.
I know. Yeah. Hmm. That was back in the day. We had the yellow pages. Um, but it was one of those moments where I realized, okay, we are truly on our own. We're
Yes.
truly on our own.
Yes.
And, I had no idea where the grocery store was. I had to like figure out how to get to Target or Walmart. Like it was, and we
Right.
lived in a very small town. So we had to drive, 25 minutes to the
Oh,
closest Target.
wow. Hmm.
And it was an eye-opening moment for us that okay, and I wasn't in real estate then, I was still an educator, and it's just you don't realize how vulnerable you are and how alone you are when you don't know who can do your hair or where
Right.
you're going to go get your nails done or where the church is that might be a good
Right.
fit for you. Well, you don't know those things. So part of what we like to do is make sure that we are a resource after someone has closed on their home or they've sold and they're ready to, or they've rented and they're moving in is okay, here's some of the resources. Always call me. Never feel
Mhm.
like you can't. We have a client appreciation event every summer. All of our clients, all of the agents, they can bring all their clients and
Uh-huh.
our clients have become friends. They
Nice.
hang out together. I was just chatting with one because she now goes to where I get my hair done. So we were
Okay.
having, we were having a powwow there. My hairstylist is a former client of mine. One of my clients, we are having our agent Christmas party. So one of my clients is actually smoking a cut of meat for the event on Saturday.
Oh,
So,
nice.
I've had a conversation about, okay, here's a church that might be a good fit, or, you like to work out. Okay, this is what's in the area. So we try to make sure that we help people really dive into community.
Mm.
And I think that that's been a good way of looking at it because it's not just about the transaction, it's about how
Right.
we help people become acclimated to the city that I love.
Yeah, that is definitely a unique approach to the real estate business because I would never think, I mean, that's like beyond full service. That's
Well, we actually have a relocation concierge division in our firm that we just launched.
okay.
So basically, if a client would like us to handle every aspect of their move, from assisting their movers, if it's a corporate relocation, helping them with an interior decorator when they're here, that set all of their furniture up and in the way they like it. If you need your fridge stocked or the pantry stocked, a private chef to
Oh,
handle the
wow. I'm
meals for the
loving
first few
this.
days, or basically so that way when you get here, you're just sliding into your life.
Yes.
Because a lot of folks in relocations, it's mostly corporate. They're
Yeah.
coming here for work. So
Right.
they need to be able to actually just start work
Right.
and
Hit the
get things
ground running.
going
Right.
without worrying about, okay, we can send them a list of schools. We can help them set up, you know, tours and things like that for the different schools. They can, we can give them a list of the local resources for churches and gyms and parks and recreation. If their children are involved in ballet or in karate, we can give them a list of what's close by. So that way they can actually feel like, okay, you know what? I have a resource that's here that it wasn't just about me, buying a house. It
Right.
was about me being, a part of this community.
Right. I love that. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I love that.
All comes back to my experience of crying in the car.
Right. Right. Do you tell that story to your clients?
I do. I met with a group virtually because they are moving here from Pennsylvania. And so I did a showing that was virtual for them, and we had this conversation. And the husband was supposed to be on the call, and he had to get off. And the wife said, "She's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Uh-huh.
I just don't know." I said, "You know what? It's okay."
Hmm.
I told my story, and she was like, "So you understand?" I said, "I completely understand packing up your life and moving someplace else and having to figure out how you establish your life again."
Right. Right.
And she was like, "You're the only person I know there." I'm like, "For now, we're gonna make we're gonna make sure you."
Right. Right. Very nice. Very nice. That must bring a relief to your clients to hear that you have all those complimentary services available and that your sincere focus, your passion is making sure they're part of a community when they move and not just
Oh yeah.
moving into a new house
Now,
or
some of
you
the
know.
services are not complimentary. If you're stocking your fridge, you're paying for the stuff that's going inside, or
Right.
having the
Right.
the
Yeah, I didn't
interior
mean unpaid
decorated.
for. I meant it complements you moving.
Yes,
Not
yes, yes,
free,
yes.
people. Not free. No,
Just want to
definitely
clarify
not.
that.
Thanks for clearing that up for us. So, in all that you do in your business, when it comes to your personal well-being and your personal self-care, how do you fit that in with the busy schedule of being an entrepreneur and keeping track of everything and staying on top of things and marketing your business and keeping in touch with your clients? How do you not blur the lines between work and your personal life? And how do you carve out time to make sure you tend to your own self-care?
I would say it was worse when I worked a W-2 job.
Ah,
And again, I was an educator. I worked for a nonprofit where I traveled a lot. It was harder for me to not bring work home,
mhm,
just because you're dealing with kids, you're dealing with, education. You're wanting to make sure that you are meeting those needs and taking care of everything. And I would say I just turned 54 in November. I've been married for almost 31 years. All of our kids are grown. I'm Gigi to two adorable grandchildren.
ah,
But it in the house, it's just me, my husband, and my dog. So
ah,
my life has changed drastically since, the kids were home, and, I needed to be here and sort of make sure everything was done. My
right.
husband is incredibly supportive. Um, I would say that he wants to see me succeed probably more than I do.
Ah, that's
Um,
wonderful.
so it's critical that if you are starting your business journey and you have a partner, that you make sure you have that conversation and that everyone understands that that's going to be your baby at times.
Mm-hmm,
My business is my baby.
mm-hmm.
Although my dog would probably beg to differ, but
Compete for that, huh?
sometimes your fur babies are worse than your real ones. But I am up at 5:50 every morning. Even pretty much on the weekends, it's usually about 6:30 on the weekends. I have to start my day slowly. I need to ease into the morning. So I'll
Mhm.
have my coffee, usually turn the fireplace on, regardless of what the temperature is. Don't turn any lights on. So I'm in the dark. I sort of have a moment to sort of think and reflect and get my mind right
Right.
before I turn on the TV, which is usually the news, so I can see. We're in North Carolina, and we have all four seasons in one day. It was, 40 yesterday, 70 today. So
Oh,
you
wow.
have to watch the news to know what the weather is going to be. So I'll watch a little bit of the news, and usually at that point, about 7 o'clock, I'll go up and I'll work out. Um,
Okay.
I need to get in at least 30 minutes a day. I try not to eat fast food. I do try to cook, try, but being, in real estate, I'm in my car a lot.
Yeah.
So if I'm not going to the office, I'm usually in the car going to see clients, doing showings, meeting with builders, things like that. So if I have to eat in the car, I try to just get, which is probably not a good thing, a kid's meal.
Uh-huh.
I'll get a kid's meal
Mhm.
because at that point it's enough food for
Just to
me to
tie you
tide me
over.
over.
Right.
I'm not a big breakfast person, but I'll have a protein shake in the morning, just because I don't like breakfast foods.
Really?
Unless it's potatoes. If it's hash browns, I'm there. I can
That's
work with
it.
some hash browns, but I
No
just don't want,
pancakes?
oh gosh,
Oh,
pancakes, waffles. I don't want
oh,
any part of that any
oh,
time of the
all
day. I
right.
will eat Brussels sprouts for breakfast before I'll eat a pancake.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I know my family laughs at me because I will. I've done that before. Um, but I'll eat like a protein shake. I'll grab like
Mhm.
some fruit, things like that, and I'll have like a kid's meal, like some chicken tenders or something like that with
Uh-huh.
for lunch, and then I'll eat a nice, decent, good sized dinner.
Hmm.
Um, and we eat fairly early. 6 is usually
Okay.
our dinner time because
Hmm.
I don't like to go to bed with stuff on me. I love a good
Right.
glass of wine.
Hmm.
Love a good glass of wine. My daughter-in-law gave me a wine advent calendar
Oh,
for Christmas this year. So it's the 24 days of wine. So every day there's a new wine to taste. And it's just a little mini bottle.
nice.
But it's been fun.
Okay.
But I love to travel.
Okay.
Um, if I can get on a plane and go somewhere, I am happy. That is my happy place.
Yeah.
Um, and at night, I like to, as my daughter says, I travel via YouTube. If I can't physically go somewhere, I will watch travel shows on YouTube.
Ah.
And, people that have traveled so I can see. My husband hates it. He's like, why are you looking at other people travel? I just want to see what, Bali is like this time of year. So
Right. Right.
I love to read. I do listen to podcasts in the car,
Uh-huh.
usually related to business.
Yes.
So things that I can, have always learn,
Hmm.
never stop learning.
Yes.
Um, that helps. So that's really my self-care.
Okay.
And one of my clients, who is the CEO of Social Roots LLC, she plug for her.
Uh-huh.
She gave me a beautiful planner that actually has areas for you to put self-care and books you're reading. So it's not just about your day, but it's about the personal aspect of taking care of yourself. What are you doing to
Right.
make sure on a daily basis that you are doing
Yes.
something for yourself?
Yes. I love that. I love that you have a daily routine that is infused with self-care because a lot of times we can think that self-care is only when I'm going on a vacation, only when
Oh
I'm
yeah.
going out to dinner somewhere, only when I'm doing an event outside of, my
Oh
usual
no.
space. Exactly. And I often say that self-care can be um, so easy to begin because it can begin with something as simple as paying more attention, being more intentful with what you do regularly to maintain yourself.
Right. Right. Absolutely. It doesn't have to be expensive. I think it's, for a long time I don't didn't have like a skincare routine
Uh-huh.
because I'm a woman of a particular age. That wasn't something that we talked about when I was growing up. You just
Uh-huh.
took the bar soap and
There
washed
you
your face.
go. There you go. Did you wash your face? That's it. What
That
routine?
was
It's
it.
washed. You
That
done.
that's what we had. But now it's more of okay, so let me be more mindful about what I'm doing to my skin so that way I'm going to be in it and I want to be in it for as long as I possibly
Yes.
can.
Yes.
Let me just make sure that I'm taking care of myself a little bit better.
Right, right. I love that. So I just have to go back to how you infuse self-care into your daily routine because so many people miss that point that it's not about a big event that has to cost you money,
Oh no.
but it's about what you do daily, intentional for you, right? It could be 5 minutes, 30 minutes,
Oh yeah.
whatever you have available, but just intentionally for you to fill your cup and that you do it daily keeps you going, right?
No, I've had people say, "What do you mean you get up and and you sit and you turn the fireplace on and you have your?" I
Right.
was like, "That's how I need to start my day
Yes,
every single day." It
yes,
puts me in the frame of mind that okay, I'm ready to take on the world.
right,
So
right,
it's just my way of being at one with myself.
right, right. You begin your day with mindfulness. That's what you're doing. You begin your day with a peacefulness and a mindfulness, and you're stepping into the world with all of us in a state of peace and mindfulness. Now, if we all could just
Absolutely.
do that for each other, begin our day, not run into the world chaotic and hectic and already stressed out, but with peace and mindfulness, what a different
Oh,
world we'll be
absolutely.
walking in. Wonderful,
Well, and I
wonderful.
think it's important that, once we get ourselves sort of up and ready to take on the world, that we really think about how we put ourselves out there.
Yes.
And not that your appearance is the most important thing, but I think if we show that we take pride in how we put ourselves together,
Mm-hmm.
especially women in business, like
Uh-huh.
that's one of the things I think is so important is how did we answer the phone?
Right.
How do we step out to the meetings that we have to go to? How are we showing up on Zoom calls? Like what are we doing to
Right.
make sure that other people take us seriously in our business? Because if you're just saying hello as opposed to, hi, this is Tiffany, or the Sears group, what is it that you're saying that people are going to recognize you as a business? Because typically it's just our cell phone.
Right.
How do you differentiate that from, okay, I'm just this person who's kind of running a business to
Uh-huh.
no, I'm the CEO of XYZ Corporation?
Very good point. Very good point. Guys, I hope you're taking notes. He's dropping gems left and right. Very good point, because you're right. Usually your cell phone is your contact number for your business. So how are you answering that phone? And do you have a business number? Because you can create a business number
Yeah,
that goes to that same cell phone, but when you see it ring to your business, are you answering that number differently? And are you presenting yourself to be a professional, to be taken
right.
seriously? Wonderful gems, wonderful gems. I love it, love it, love it. Love it. So you've shared a lot of great information with us today about your business journey, your business and how you do business, what your passion is within your business, how you educate your customers, how they become really a part of family to you, once you've serviced them in your area. And how you first started out and now your business has transitioned and you're 2 years in and growing and adding more services, more payable services to your customers to help ease that process of moving into a new community and not knowing anyone or where to go to find things. So I think it's a wonderful, beautiful business.
Thank you.
Even tips about how to, as an entrepreneur, how to network effectively and not be overwhelmed by the process. And with steps that someone listening can put in place as soon as tomorrow. Just give it a try. Okay, this next networking event that I'm going to during the holidays, I'm going to choose three things that I'm going to look for. Or I'm going to choose one
Hmm.
thing I'm looking for and talk to three people about it. And just see how differently that feels for you and what are your results from that. So a
Right,
lot of
right.
great usable information. So thank you for that. So as we round out, we're going to switch gears for a minute and ask you a couple of questions that are personal so we get to
Okay.
know a little more about the person. So the first one we're going to begin with is, what was your favorite childhood game, Tiffany?
Oh gosh. I've never been one for games, but I would
Ah,
say Uno.
okay.
That all depends on how you play it. because everybody's got their own rules. So you gotta clarify before you even start. Are we
Thank
doing the draw two, draw
you.
four,
Yes.
reverse all in a row? Like how are we doing
Yeah.
this?
I hope my kids are listening to this. Every time we sit down for a game, there's some new rule they came up with their little friends, and it
Yeah.
was not how we played it originally.
Mm-mm.
And I'm
And we
not
were
having it.
cutthroat. We were
Yeah,
cutthroat
exactly.
back
I'm
then.
not, no, 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 no. Halfway into the game, this new, no, that's not what we started with.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. What's your favorite meal or food? We know it's not breakfast is not your favorite meal. So
It's not. I love a potato. I don't care how
oh,
we're gonna make them.
oh really?
Mashed, fried, baked. I
Ah,
love a potato.
okay.
But I would say if we were gonna like a sort of a classify a food type, I love French food. So beef
Oh,
bourguignon, coq au vin, croissants. I
uh-huh.
love French food.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. Who would you say was your favorite teacher in any part of your education and why?
I have two.
Okay.
So the first is Dr. Kaiser, Dr. John Kaiser, and I have no idea where he is or if he's still with us, but he was my 12th grade um, language arts teacher at West Charlotte Senior High School. And he was amazing. He brought Shakespeare to life. His
Oh,
class was all about discussions and everyone having a voice and really and he was the first person that ever said, Shakespeare is meant to be listened to, not read.
ah,
So he would read to us. We were
oh,
seniors in high school, and he would read
right.
to us and stuff, and we would analyze. And it was just a wonderful time it actually really brought me into this whole world of, as an educator, asking kids what they think
Ah,
and getting them to actually have an opinion and a voice and share insights and that was so important. I think before I went up to college, he was a college professor that came back to teach high school English
oh,
because
wow.
he said so many kids got to college and didn't know how to write a paper. So he wanted to change that. And the other is Emily Bim, who is also at West Charlotte. She was that was back in the day when we had to take home ec or
Okay.
shop.
Yes, yes.
And she was the home ec teacher, and she taught us how to budget and how to use coupons and how to grocery shop. And
Wow.
I was president of FHA Hero, which is Future Homemakers of
Yes,
America,
I know,
4 years
girl.
in a row because no one else wanted the job. But we would go to the FHA Hero Conference every year, and we participated in interview and resume writing
Mm,
challenges. And she was the one that pushed me to go, and I think it really helped me be more poised in
mm,
different situations. So even though I am an introvert by nature,
mm-hmm.
I having to do those things, I think really taught me how to, okay, I can step out of my comfort zone. I can put myself here. I can talk to people without
Uh-huh.
feeling like there's some sort of, you know, stress or
Right.
anxiety
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
nervousness,
Yeah.
because you have a reason to be there. You have worth and value. So she was wonderful. So those would be my two.
Nice, nice. I love those. Okay. If you could have a conversation with anyone from the past, who would you choose and why?
I would say that I don't know. Someone from the past I don't know, I'm assuming.
Doesn't matter.
I honestly, I think I would like to have a conversation with Madam C.J. Walker. I'd
And
like to know exactly what was going through her head when she was starting her business and how she handled the money and what it was like being a woman in that day and age. Really sort of taking control of her own finances when women weren't really allowed to do
right.
anything, particularly Black women.
Exactly.
And how just that her word of mouth marketing, how she did that. Like, I want to
Mm,
really just sort of deep dive into, okay, tell me a little bit more about, you know, what your goal and strategy was. That's what I want to
right,
know.
right. Very good, very good. Yeah, that's very, yeah. What was your system? Because she had to have a
She
system.
had to have a system.
Yeah,
She didn't have a CRM, she didn't have a transaction management plat. Like, what was your system? Was it just a
yes.
notepad?
You didn't
Like,
have
how did you do
Instagram, right?
who did you know who to tell? Was it just the nosiest neighbor? Like, how did you figure out how to get
Mm,
this going?
right. Wonderful. Okay, and our last question. What is your dream place to travel and why?
Oh God. Oh, I don't know if I have. I've traveled so many amazing places already.
What was your favorite travel place that you've already been to?
Oh, I love Paris.
Ah,
Absolutely adore Paris.
ah,
It's different than I think a lot of people describe it. Most people say they're rude, and
ah,
no. If we just have to recognize that we're not in America,
mm,
and once we realize that what they do there, and this is any foreign country, is
right,
not what we do here, we'll be
right.
fine. I love an island. Put me on the beach. Bring me, a fruity cocktail with an umbrella in it.
Uh-huh.
That grounds me. So it really depends on where I am mentally as to what kind of
Got you.
vacation I need.
Right.
Um, I think that I would like to. I just recently found out that my ancestry is from Cameroon in Africa, and I
Okay.
think I'd like to visit there.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you being with us today on the podcast, sharing all the great information you've shared, opening up for us today. And we just want to say we wish you all the best in your personal and professional life, all the
Well,
best
thank
of
you.
joy, all the best of health, and all the best of wealth.
Oh, thank you. You as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us for another great episode. We hope you're taking with you some inspiration and great information. Be sure to follow, like, and rate our podcast 5 stars. Also, share it with other women of color in business that you know. Drop by the website at www.wocib.org and join our mailing list. We look forward to building a great sisterhood with you. Be well.